Hello and welcome to another English class. Today we're going to look at conditionals. Not all of the conditionals. We're only going to look at zero conditional and first conditional. Okay. The zero conditional is used for facts, okay? The grammar is present simple plus present simple. If you put water in the freezer, comma, it becomes ice. But you can invert the clauses. Water becomes ice if you put it in the freezer. Now you'll notice, first of all, water has to be prominent. Because if you say it becomes ice if you put water in the freezer, that doesn't work. You need to put the water first so people know what you're talking about. And the other thing you'll notice is that these are inverted, okay? Now it becomes ice, water becomes ice first, it becomes ice last. If you put water in the freezer first, if you put it in the freezer last. That's why we don't call them first clauses and second clauses, because the first clause, it could be the second clause, so it makes no sense. So we call it the if clause and the main clause. Here, the main clause begins the sentence and the if clause ends the sentence. When you start with the main clause, there is no comma. When you start with the if clause, there is a comma. And that rule is consistent for all conditional sentences. So remember that, okay? If clause, comma. If clause first, comma, main clause first, no comma, then if clause, okay? Water becomes ice if you put it in the freezer, no comma. If you heat water to 100 degrees, comma, it boils. Or water boils if you heat it to 100 degrees. Okay, if you heat water to 100 degrees, comma, it boils, if clause, main clause, or water boils, main clause, no comma, if you heat it to 100 degrees. Now, again, same rule, you cannot say it boils if you heat water to 100 degrees. You have to know what we're talking about. Okay, and the final example, this is more of a personal example, and you could say this about someone, about yourself, whatever, you know. It's a fact for the person that you're talking about. If I run, comma, I sweat. Or, I sweat if I run. Again, you can invert the clauses of any conditional sentence. If you start with the if clause, you have a comma. If you start with the main clause, no comma. First conditional now. The grammar is present simple plus will or can or could or might or may or should plus infinitive without to. A lot of people think it's present simple plus will plus infinitive, but you can use these modal verbs, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. I'm going to open the blinds, bring some more light into the proceedings. I didn't want it to reflect on the board, but I think that might be better. Well, okay, we'll see. I'm sure it's fine. So you can use these modal verbs in a first conditional sentence. And this, remember the same rule, if clause first, comma, main clause first, no comma, if clause. If I study, present simple, I will pass my exam, will. Or I will pass my exam if I study. Okay? The first conditional is realistic. It's achievable. It's something which is not crazy. It's perfectly logical. If I eat that cake, I will regret it. Oh, look at that cake. You're in a supermarket. Look at that cake. Okay, it's amazing. It's big, and you know you've had this before, but I can't resist and buy that cake. You get it home, and you feel, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that cake. I shouldn't have eaten that cake. Okay? That's opinion. Remember we did should? That's opinion. I shouldn't, past, have eaten that cake. If I eat that cake, I will regret it. Or I will regret it if I eat that cake. Same thing when you have a 2 for Tuesday pizza deal from Domino's. And you see, I feel like a pizza. You buy 2 pizzas you don't finish the first one, and the second one has to go in the fridge, and then the next day you're eating second day pizza. Oi. But what we do. Now let's move on to the other modal verbs. I'm going to prove that these are very possible. If I run, comma, I can catch the bus. Or I can catch the bus if I run. You can also use could. If I run, I could catch the bus. Because in this context, can is possibility. I don't like using can for possibility, but it is definitely okay. You can use can for possibility. Not all the time, but for example, what shall we do today? Oh, we can go to the cinema. But I tell my students it's better to have black and white. Grey area, that doesn't really help someone learn. But it is possible grammatically. Here's another possibility. If I go early, comma, remember, if clause plus comma, I could do more work. If I go early, I could do more work. Because that's where they have the computer and the books and all the study guides. So if I go early, you know, I can do more work. I could do more work. I could do more work if I go early. Of course, it's a possibility, and it's a first conditional because it's a present simple, okay? If I sell my keyboard, comma, I might buy a ghetto blaster. Might. Or may. They're both okay because they mean it's a possibility that I'm considering. Remember, we did might and may and could in the past, so check out those videos if you haven't already. If I sell my keyboard, I might buy a ghetto blaster. I'm thinking, if I sell my keyboard, I'll get X amount of money, and I really want a vintage ghetto blaster, a tape machine for the street so you can break dance. So if I sell that, I might spend some of the money on a ghetto blaster. It's actually a true story. I did sell a keyboard and I did buy a ghetto blaster from the past, obviously. Or, well, not obviously. Or you can invert it. I might buy a ghetto blaster if I sell my keyboard. Remember, when you start with the main clause, no comma. Okay, no comma when you start with the main clause. I could do this all day. Right. Finally, if I hurry, comma, I should be able to catch her. Now, some teachers might say should in first conditional. You're crazy. But I'm not crazy because if I hurry, I should be able to. It's a strong possibility, okay? Yeah, I should be able to catch her. Notice you have to use an infinitive, and this time, be able to, because we can't say I should can, so we say I should be able to. Check out the video on can, could, and be able to for ability and permission. If I hurry, I should be able to catch her. I should be able to catch her if I hurry. Remember, no comma when you start with the main clause. I hope that helps you. That's zero conditional and first conditional. Next time, it's going to be second conditional and third conditional, and I'll try to squeeze in mixed conditionals because there are 5 conditionals. 0, first, second, third, and mixed. And there's also a conditional which I don't know where it belongs. I used to think it was 0 conditional, and that's the imperative conditional. For example, if you see John, tell him I said hello. Now, I've checked a lot of books and I've done a lot of research, and none of them say that 0 conditional has that form. The only thing they say is 0 conditional is facts. So I don't know what to do with the sentence I told you. I'm not going to write it because the board will move, but listen to this sentence. If you see John, tell him I said hello. So this is not present simple, tell him I said hello. It is, in my opinion, because tell him is present simple, but there's no subject. It's called an imperative. So I'm going to call it the imperative conditional. And I don't have any examples here. I should have written one here. In fact, let's do it right now. So while you're just sitting there watching me, I'm going to write another example. If you go to Barcelona It must be very interesting watching me write this. Visit la Sagrada Familia. It's the unfinished church by Gaudí. You know the La Sagrada Familia. Most of the people, well, some of the people watching this will be Spanish, so this is why I thought this was a zero conditional personally, but apparently it's not. Well, which one is it? Which conditional is it? I think I'm going to call it the Cosmo. Sorry, I'm Cosmo, aren't I? Cosmo's imperative conditional. So there you go, a new conditional for all you writers of books. Make me famous. I'm just kidding. If you go to Barcelona, so that's obviously present simple. If you go to Barcelona, visit. Not you visit, it's an imperative. Imperative is when we don't have a subject. An imperative is used for orders, for requests, for suggestions. Visit La Sagrada Familia, the big unfinished church in Barcelona by Gaudí. If you go to Barcelona, visit La Sagrada Familia. I think it's a zero conditional. Apparently it's not. So it's now called Cosmo's imperative conditional. So you learn things on this channel that have never been on any channel before, I hope. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit like, leave a comment if you have any questions or if you want to just say hello. Someone left a comment recently saying, I love you. That's okay. I'm very happy to receive those comments. And share this with anybody you know learning English because it could benefit them. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time for the next video.